let's talk a little bit about George Floyd when he was younger, man, because you were around. You were the closest in age to him. How was he as a child? How was he?
He was ugly, first of all. Ugly rascal. Big head. He never wear no shoes, man. He was just a kid, you know. His mama and his daddy had issues. And unfortunately, that's like a lot of black men and women back in that day. You know, his daddy thought it was more important to be someplace else than with them. So, you know, my sister, everybody always comes home, man, when they get, you know, when things go bad, and they'd come home and, you know, and we'd hang out. They'd send the babies there during the summer. Just a normal kid.
Right.
You know, between the ages of 12 and 14, I think he probably grew 4 inches.
Right.
I seen him one summer and he's like 5'9". The next time I see him, he's 6'3".
Right.
I'm thinking, holy cow, man. So he was a normal person. He was a daddy. He was an uncle. He was a nephew. He just like me, just crazy, you know, full of energy. I always want to laugh. I always want to crack a joke. And nothing seemed that serious that you couldn't laugh.
Right.
If it's a day go by, you can't laugh, man.
Something wrong with you.
Something wrong with you. We need to figure
Definitely
out
something wrong with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. So he was a basketball player, correct?
He was decent. You know, him and Steven Jackson.
Okay.
And light-skinned boy, he played for Boston. They were all on the same high school team.
Okay.
And he was the only one of the three that went to the All-Star game. Because Floyd was nasty.
Okay.
Floyd absolute silly. And we go to college, and you know, the ghetto got a love for you.
Yeah, they do.
That they gonna be somebody.
Right. You know? Love you to death.
Love you to death. The only thing about that is they don't want you to leave.
They don't.
You know? So he had a decision to make when he was going to college, and my sister was sick, and, you know, and she's trying to raise some grandbabies. And he had to make that decision. Do I stay in college and fulfill my dream, or do I go home and take care of the person that I love the most? Well, he opted to put his life on hold to take care of his mama. And you just know how that goes, man. You know, you're putting your life on hold for that person. That person that birthed you, that changed the diaper. And my sister was a sweetheart. And she just like a lot of black women, she found herself in bad situations with sorry black men, you know? And she battled food stamps, welfare, you know, the whole nine, you know? She called us and we'd help her out. Now, keep in mind, we grew up in a house in North Carolina. We had no indoor plumbing. We had no running water. So pretty much how we had to use the bathroom is when it was cold, we would poop in the bucket, throw it around the corner of the house. And when it got warm, we'd go dig it up, bury it. That's where I come from.
Right.
I come from people bringing their hogs and we slaughtering them, and we get the liver and the pig feet and the hog guts. And you might get a ham or two, and you had to salt it down, and you would literally scrape the salt off, cut the worms out, and cook it and eat it.
And that was your meal.
That's how we was raised, man. You know, but there was an awful lot of love. So, you know, we would play ball and hang out and love each other. You didn't know you were poor. If you never had it, you never missed
it. Right. Absolutely. I agree with that.
So you programmed yourself. You didn't go to the fair. You didn't go to the store a lot.
Right.
You
hung around family. You were a close-knit family. Right. Absolutely.
Because guess what? You had no money to go anywhere.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, you know, man, we learned a lot of good lessons from that day. And all of us are pretty much the same. We all love each other a great deal.
Absolutely.
Then he comes home to take care of his mama, to help his mom out. And you know how that goes, my man. You know, he did He did what he thought was best. But now we're going to talk about some demons.
Right. We're going to talk about those demons, right? I call them passion suppressing demons, right? When you give your life to someone else and you say, I'm coming home for you, the anger and the resentment for other people's living their dreams, when they come home and they're around, that resounds in your head. And now you're like, man, I'm gonna go over here. I'm just going to smoke a little bit. I just need to escape for a couple seconds. And is that what George started to do?
Now, imagine this. Imagine a dude that you grew up with from the 6th grade, stayed in college for a year. You got out first semester. You stayed there about 2 months. And it was just, you heard your mama beg and cry and screaming, And that next year, that buddy that you play ball with is driving a $350,000 Bentley. Wow. And you got to see this. And you're exactly right. Those demons and that torturing of himself, man, I could have had that. Now, you got to carry that with you. There's no way you can get rid of that. And every time you see him, yeah, he's your boy. He's cool and all. You've seen him in the Scarface video, F.U., with Zero. He's standing in the back, tall, red hat on, black hat, red shirt. That's Perry Floyd. So he was that ghetto superstar. Everybody loved him. And then, it starts with, I just smoked a little bit. And it goes from a little bit to, wow, did I really just do that? Yeah, you did.
You did.
Life is about decisions, man.
It is.
And he made a couple of bad decisions. When he spent 6-7 years of his life incarcerated.
Wow.
And he got out. And you're talking about the most torturous thing that anybody has probably ever did to themselves. He dropped out of college that he should have been a first round
draft pick,
second round draft pick,
right.
and got out of school to take care of his mama. His two teammates played in the NBA, and he was better than they were. And that weighs on a man.
It does.
I reckon it weighed on him to the point where those demons get in your head and you're thinking, it's bad to say poor me. But most people in bad situations say poor me.
Poor me.
And then they, as you would say, self-medicate or do something to numb those feelings.
Yeah, numb the pain, numb the feelings, right? Absolutely.
He numbed those pains and those feelings for probably, I don't know, during the jail time, probably 10, 15 years.
Wow.
And he came to Minneapolis before my sister died because he realized that time didn't wait for him.
Didn't.
You're 42 years old. You've been to prison, and having a felony is a bad thing.
Yeah, it is.
People don't want to give you an opportunity.
Right.
There was a rehab program in Minneapolis, and him and a buddy went there.
Okay.
And he started working at the homeless shelter. I went there. He called me and said, yo, man, I'm in Minneapolis. Takes me 3.5 hours to get there. I get there, and he's standing out in the middle of the road. There's probably 1,500 people around. And he's laughing and joking and picking at him. Man, you better get in there. I'm going to take your plate. Just being a fool.
Right.
And passion. Because we were raised with that old big girl, Lauren Jones. And he was working at the Congo Club, which I went to a couple times, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And it all comes to a head, my man. I'm sitting in the house. The 26th of May, I call it the day. I'm sitting in the house. I do the same thing I do every day. I get my little babies up, send them to school. I eat me a couple of croissants. I'm a little husky.
Right. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm a little husky too.
I see you, big man. I see you, big level.
Right.
And I sit there and I'm looking at television. My mom-in-law standing in the doorway. My wife is looking at me crazy as hell. And I'm standing in the door, and and I'm looking at television. They tried to protect me from seeing things like that because I come from North Carolina. Right. I'm living in South Dakota now, but there's 3 black people live in my town. But that's another story we'll get to. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, oh, God, man, why don't somebody help this dude, man? They're going to kill him. Damn, man. Come on. Did you see what the police? Then my wife tried to tell me. I was like, Joey, that's Perry. She's like, no, it isn't. So, big man, I sit back like this right here. And I watched one of my favorite people holler, scream,
beg,
plead.
Yes.
And imagine this, big fella. You're in a place, and no matter how bad you want to leave, you can't leave. Go.
Can't go nowhere.
And from the time they got him out of the car, man, I've been shot before, man. Man, y'all gonna kill me, man. Man, I don't want to die, man. Y'all gonna kill me. And he narrated his own death. And after he said, Mama, I feel that she had her hands down because she died 2 years ago.
Wow.
And she said, come on, baby, because at about the 3-minute mark, when he started breathing hard, I need some water. I can't breathe. And he says, Mama. And about 15 seconds after that, he ain't hollering no more. He's blowing. Imagine having to lie there and realize the only way I'm leaving is if I'm dead.
I'm dead. Wow.
And he literally had to lay there underneath power and control. And then after the first EMT come there and he touched him and he didn't stop. And the second guy that touched him, this would have been about 10 minutes. He actually pushed his shoulder and says, hey, man, you have to put him on the gurney.
Right.
You watched a modern day lynching.
Yes, you did.
You watched a massacre.
You did.
What we saw is 1800 all over again.
All over again. All over again. And with Derek Chauvin not even understanding what he was doing, right? And this is when I saw a couple of the other interviews, and I saw that you were saying the training has to be different, right? Cultural sensitivity training for police, right? We're going to talk about that, but let's talk about the trial, right? And
you know what they tell me?
What they tell you?
I heard a dumb butt tell me that the veins in our neck are smaller than a white man's vein. Therefore, when you put pressure on our neck, it restricts the blood flow because of our diets that we've had. Now, that's just about like that dude that said I got extra bone in my leg.
Right.
I got extra bone. This is why I can run and jump.
Right.
But yeah, so trial.
The trial. So only one person allowed in. How do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel about the trial? And how do you feel about the current state of this country?
Big fella. Systemic racism has been going on for, 402 years. The power trippers, which have been the Caucasian men, have literally ran the world. And it literally goes, if I say something, that's what you do. You can't dispute me. You can't argue with me. You can't ask me anything. Just do what I told you, boy. That's how it's been. Guess what, man? That's how it was on May the 25th.
Yeah.
Trial. Well, it's hard to believe that somebody can get out on bond
for murder
and say, I'm afraid to be here. And he goes and spends the winter in Florida. Big fella, I use a phrase, the writing It's on the wall.
Right, it is.
There's two types of people, big fella. People that can't read and people that don't want to read.
Right.
Most of the people in this world, United States, didn't want to see, didn't care about seeing because it was normal. That's the problem. It is normal.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I heard he turned down a third-degree murder deal. Third-degree murder means that he accidentally used too much force,
right,
and
the person died because of it.
He didn't mean to kill him.
Right.
Excessive force.
Right.
Okay, my man, we can take a poll. And if anybody tells me that Derek Chauvin, he had an agenda.
Right.
That was personal. That was, you don't kill nobody in the middle of the street, in the middle of the day, with 15 or 20 people around you, videotaping you, and you did act like there was nobody in the world. He didn't act like nobody could see him.
And people they got their phones out, they're videotaping. He's looking at it. He's profiling. He's taking his stance. He got his head up high. Right.
So they separated the trials.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I am. That third-degree murder that he tried to plea bargain, they should have taken that, because first-degree murder is premeditated.
There's no way you're going to prove that.
They ain't seen no premeditation. But I would find it hard for me and you to work in the same club, one door in, one door out, for 3 years. I don't know you.
Right. And he said he didn't know him.
Oh, yeah. They never talked. Anyhow, one door in, one door out.
Door out. It's hard.
Okay.
I used to bounce, right? And literally you have to know everyone in the club, because your safety is in knowing everyone in the club. What type of person this person is, whether this person is going to be able to fight, whether this person is going to be able to hold their own weight. So I can't co-sign that he didn't know him. And he's a cop. So he definitely knows him, because he looking at him, he's scanning him, he going running his background. I get that he knew him. I believe that he knew him.
We're in the Midwest. Different set of rules. Different set of rules. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Different set of rules. When we go to the club out here,
right,
there's issues. Because you're gonna basically have a good night because of the numbers advantage. Black man versus any woman, we're talking hell. 50, 60 to 1.
Right.
So
you're going to have some fun. Right.
We'll leave that one alone.
We're going to leave that alone. Do you feel that they're going to give him a fair trial? Like it's going to be a fair trial? It's for both parties, right? For George Floyd and for Derek Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin, this should be the easiest case in the world.
Right.
But you can't find a juror, I don't think, that
doesn't know about it. Right.
And once you throw that third-degree murder charge out that he wanted to set, who hasn't heard about that?
Right.
So this is what I tell you, big fella. I hope and pray that the judicial system does what it's supposed to do. As I tell everybody, my man, I don't want no special treatment. I just want to be treated like them. I don't want to be shot.
Right.
Because, hey, you remember when the space shuttle blew up in 1986?
Yes, sir. I was watching that. I was in I want to say I was like in 3rd or 4th grade, and we were watching it. Right.
Okay. You remember when Desert Storm happened?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that means you remember when 9/11 happened.
Absolutely.
Will you ever forget the day you seen the death of George Floyd?
No, I won't, because it awoken so much, not in myself, but in my son, right? Because we were in the house, we're dealing with COVID restrictions, we're watching TV, and it flashed.
Everybody home.
I said, what is this? And that's a lot of why I think it had a bigger reaction than anyone else, because we had murders before that, right? And we had murder after that. And it was like, this is the one that's going to blow everything up, right? Because he kneeled on his neck and stood there and looked at the guy recording like, what? This is what I do on a normal day. This is what I do.
This is my job. This is my job. This is what they pay me to do. And that's exactly what he did. But did he not realize, and nobody realized, that the way he died would completely change the scope of the world?
I don't think anybody realized that. Where we were at that moment, it means a lot, right? Where you are when you see someone steal something, where you are when you hear about somebody being beat. You know, if you're close enough, you can react, right? But if you're far enough away, you want to send your support that way. And that's what happened. Minnesota, man, was blown up. I mean, literally, they set the police station on fire. Like, people wanted to know what's going on. Why are y'all treating us this way?
Hey, man, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You ever seen a black person that would burn a liquor store up that was a block away, knowing he'd had to walk 2 miles to go get him some beer?
Never.
Cigarettes?
Never.
Okay. All right, anyhow, that's all I want to say about that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the impact of how he died changed the scope of the way the whole world. Because think about this, big fella. The average person can hold their breath. Nobody can hold their breath for 4 minutes.
No, they can't.
Unless you're top shape.
Right.
The average person can go out there for 4 minutes, then you're brain dead. My big nephew fought for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. He did not want to leave this place. He did not want to leave this place. But I reckon the Lord said, George Perry Floyd, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were dealt cards that you had to play, that you couldn't win with. That heartstring, he had to go home and take care of my sister. So therefore, he sacrificed his whole life.
Absolutely.
And the rest of his life was sort of kind of marred in pity, disgust. And I reckon the Lord said, you know what? Today is going to be the day when I'm going to make the biggest statement I've ever made. Because what he did is George had to be at that particular place at that particular time.
Right.
Darnella Frazier had to be walking her cousin to the store at that particular time. Derek Chauvin had to show up and do what he did,
right,
and make all of this stuff come together. And
right.
Guess what, man? It's the biggest civil rights movement that's ever existed.
So there we have it, right? Because I had a question. Do you feel that this can unite us as Black people in this country, right? And before you answer, we know what's going on with the civil rights movement. We know how it was big, and then it ran out of gas, I want to say, right? They got to throwing different distractions involved. How do you feel we're going to move? Go ahead.
Everything in life has a shelf life.
Right.
I want to say one more thing, then I'll get to this movement.
Go ahead.
Do you remember where you were on January 6th when the white folks infiltrated the Capitol building?
No, I don't. Right. I ain't really fooled with that.
I remember that because to me, being a Black man, that's one of the worst situations I've ever seen in my life. I was doing a Zoom. I got Zoom bomb. And they were calling me ends and go back to Africa and monkeys. And I answered one of the questions. The one that says, monkey, you've seen 50 or 60 white boys climbing up a 5-story building without a damn rope. And you want to call me a monkey?
Right.
You want to call me a monkey? That's a white spider monkey. And he climbed upside the damn building, no rope. Man, this movement ain't gonna. It cannot leave us. Because A, I'm not going to let it leave us. A. B, this is the most momentum that we've ever had, my brother.
Absolutely.
Because I've got 70-year-old Caucasian people calling me and telling me, Mr. Jones, I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate how you got your nephew's back. Somebody got to do this. Think about this, man. When a 75-year-old Caucasian person writes me a letter and tell me they appreciate what I'm doing, and they put a check in there for $600, and the check was to rent a room for a week that they weren't going to stay in. That was their way of saying, hey, man, this is how we can help. That blew my heart away.
Absolutely. 75 years old, that puts them back when things were still going crazy, right? And what they were allowed to be around and watching strange fruit hanging from the trees down in Georgia, right? So, that's real. That's real.
That told me right there, brother, hey, he did something. Right. Because a 75-year-old white man, he's 3 generations removed from slavery. He's a nasty son of a gun, son.
Yes.
Every word out of his mouth is in.
Right.
He nasty. Right. So to have 75-year-old people write me letters and telling me, hey, I want to stay at your motel for a week, but I'm not going to come there. That's how I can support you. Bro. And we got a lot of white folks, Caucasians, that are standing out there going, rah, 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 rah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if they're still going to say rah, 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 rah this summer. Let's see how their momentum is. It takes 4 things: communication, conversation, education, and you gotta piss people off. So you gotta have some irritation.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
We got to figure out a way so we can be in places so people can hear what I gotta say.
Absolutely.
Tell these stories, man, because I'm just a simple old country boy from Goldsboro, North Carolina, that learned how to play football, that refused to give up. I used to watch my uncles and stuff working on the, in the tobacco fields and cotton fields, and before Friday, they were broke. They lived for one night, Friday night, and then they had to borrow money from the white man to make it to the next Friday. When you got paid, hell, you only got about $15 or $20. So that wasn't life. You see everybody with old cars. Dog, I love Fatback today, but I would need it because I ate Fatback so damn much, son. I thought I was a walking grease factory. I didn't need no lotion. I didn't need no lotion because I was always shining. So with evolution comes change.
It definitely does.
And, there's 2.5 million people in prison. We have 4% of the world's population.
Right.
But we have over 1 million young black men
in prison,
incarcerated.
Absolutely.
Now, hold on for a second. This is really going to get you. We have 4% of the world's population. But we have 40% of the world crime.
Right.
And out of that 40%, they say that 27% is committed by us.
Right.
Hold on now. We are 0.2% of population in the world, but we commit 27% of the crime.
Right. It's a reason behind it. Right.
How does that work?
So basically, I sit up here at the radio station and I always ask the question, right? When you look at the amount of money that black people have versus the amount of money that white people have, and it's been on the news for the past couple of days, it says $17,000 is the yearly for black people, a black family, and $171,000 is the yearly for a white family. And you sit there and say, we're 1,000% behind in that situation, right? How do we fathom that? Like, why are our crimes worse than their crimes? Why are we the ones that are beleaguered and bewildered by a judicial system that works for other people and doesn't work for us, right? We're Americans, so it should work for us. So yeah, I understand it's a system that was set in place and set in motion to work against us, but we have to have the wherewithal, to push through that. Think
about this, man.
Go ahead.
New Jersey. Most people's wealth is built through what? Home ownership.
Home ownership, right?
Home ownership is the way that a lot of people build their wealth. Home ownership. You buy your first home. Hey, you buy your next one, and you let the rent from the first one pay for the second one. 30 years later, you got two houses. You know what I'm saying? In Newark, New Jersey, the average worth of a Caucasian family is $270,000. The average net worth of an African American, no, I don't say African American, Black American, is $5,900. 1941, they wanted to have that GI Bill. We wanted to have a middle class family. There's a problem. The black guys had to be rerouted to public housing, which we now know is the ghetto.
Right.
And all the Caucasian people got the GI Bill.
Right.
You know? Now think about this. They put us in the ghetto. They give us bad teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So we had bad schooling. So we can't go to college and we can't get a good job if you don't have good education. So we got
the bad teachers is recent though. The bad teachers is recent because there was some good teachers for a nice little amount of time here. It was some good teachers. Yeah. The bad teachers are really recent, right? I want to say last 10, 20 years. Okay. Right.
Well, I had some bad teachers because the white teachers didn't. How can a white woman teach me Black history?
They can't. And that's the thing. They don't teach us our history.
They don't teach us our history.
Oh.
So you got a lot of dynamics that put us behind the eight ball because that was their way. 1890, they come over here from England and they told us that our brains were smaller. So our brains were developed the same as the monkeys. And the only thing that we could do, we could be subservient with the right persuasion.
Right.
Get our mind right.
Right.
And that was called a whip.
Mm-hmm.
You got whipped, you got beat, your women got raped, you made them rich, you cleaned their houses. What am I?
Men got raped. The men got raped too, right? That way they lost their power in the community, right? You don't look up to him anymore. Oh, no, I ain't saying nothing to him. He got took down by the bastard.
You know what they did? They got that big black buck and they put him in the middle of the yard.
Right.
They beat the hell out of him.
Yes, they did.
Because everybody was afraid of him.
Right.
They just beat the man.
Right.
Hey, what you gonna do? You know, so, you know, man, 1964, Civil Rights Act was passed. You know what the Civil Rights Act said? That racism was illegal. Damn. They sure ain't been keeping up with that one, have they?
No, they haven't. They haven't.
And, you know, they forgot about that one. So all I'm saying, man, is we're the only race that's had to negotiate our life. We had to negotiate if we could drink water 55, 60 years ago. We had to negotiate if we go eat in the back of the restaurant. We had to negotiate where we had to ride on a bus. How would you feel walking down the street after you just walked 10 miles from school and there's a water fountain and you had to pass that water fountain and walk another mile? Think about that.
I think about it every day. Right. I think about it every day. And I appreciate what you're doing out here, bro. I do.
Let me tell you something. May the 26th, I call it D-Day because I remember every damn thing. And keep in mind, you're talking about a person that played a little ball for a living. I own my motel. I've got an Escalade, that new Denali, and I got that CT5B, that red rain coming.
Right.
So I've been on the other side of the track.
Right.
I ain't been that, I haven't been that yet, but you know what, man? I sit back and I can look and think of so many times when I got disrespected and you shut up and you left it alone. Don't rock the boat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm making 150 grand a year. Don't rock the boat. Let me tell you crazy. My nephew got put in the ground June the 9th. I live in a little town called Gettysburg, South Dakota, my brother, where the battle was. You can Google George Floyd uncle.
Right.
What you gonna Google what you're going to see is you're going to see a Confederate flag on the police uniform. Now, before George died, population 1,200 towns, 2 gas stations. I used to shovel snow off my wood so I could cut it and stain it. Because our thought with this motel, well, if you want it bad enough, go ahead and buy it, but you're going to do the work on it.
Absolutely.
You know? I ain't afraid of work. Hell, I worked in the tobacco field for nothing.
Right.
And when we go over to the store to eat, man, y'all some working ass people. And it was basically me. Right. I got my boy down here from North Carolina. We remodeled the whole motel, tore all the plumbing out, reinstalled showers, carpet, paint, sheetrock. Right by myself in a year, my man. Never took a day off because this is my little piece of heaven. I can sit in my parking lot and look across the damn street and watch my little 5 and my 7-year-old ride the go-kart. Hey, I'm good.
You're good.
I'm not at the beach, but I can sit there and we're going to make X amount of dollars a year. Hey, man, I'm good. I'm sitting here for another 30, 40 years. Hey, I had a good life.
Absolutely.
Coming from where I come from. I remember when my mama used to ride us to the rich white folk neighborhood and look at all the Christmas lights and stuff. And I used to see tears in my mama's eyes. And I never knew why she was crying. About 6 months ago, I figured it out. She wasn't crying because she was happy to see the lights. She was crying because she couldn't do any better than what she did because she worked her ass off. And she basically said, if you work it hard enough, this is what you can have.
What you can have. Absolutely.
I got an 18-foot tree in my house. So people come look at my tree now.
Right.
So, man, I promised myself when I sat there and I seen my man, what do? I'm just like him. I sit back and I look at one of mine and every damn emotion that I've ever had, every heartache that I ever had, I seen. And I had to wait there and see my man. He pissed himself. When he pissed himself, he died. He was dead. And I had to look at that man. And every time I can see every inch, I can see every second. And then you go back and you think, wow, because he was black.
Only reason.
And my brother,
only reason.
I have been traveling all over the United States of America because people got to hear what I got to say.
Absolutely.
If they don't want to hear it, if somebody will give me a blowhorn, I don't tell them. And, I really wish I was a rocket scientist or, or a jet pilot.
Right.
But I ain't. I'm just old country boy from Goldsboro, North Carolina, that seen his nephew get murdered. And it was just like somebody stuck their hand through my chest and snatched my heart out.
Right.
And when you seen the way they throwed him on the gurney like it was a piece of meat, they ain't give one damn about my nephew.
They were hoping he woke up, honestly.
They were hoping
they were hoping he woke up, that would jostle him, that would wake him up and he would do something. I could just imagine how they felt going back to the police station, right? And it's like, yo, did he survive, right? And it's like, it didn't matter for you to raise your knee up off his neck.
He was dead at the scene. So if you notice, the EMTs that showed up had guns on.
Yeah.
Look at it. EMTs don't have guns.
Yeah.
EMTs don't have guns. Did they ever try to revive him when they got on the scene?
No. They got him, picked him up, put him on the drink.
They shut Chauvin. He walked around. He come back and he literally pushed him. Come on, man. They never once tried to revive my nephew. So pretty much what they did is they showed us what they think about us. People show you how they feel about you.
Hey, you better believe. You better believe him the first time.
And hey, alcohol, anger, and babies are truth serum.
Right.
None of those lie. None of those lie.
None of them.
And that was an angry white man that day.
Mm-hmm.
I was an angry white man. So I can't stop.
You're not supposed to.
I got to see people like you. I got to see Miss Carter.
Right.
We got to see Rick.
Right.
You know, we got to see John Amos.
Absolutely.
We got to see Colin Kaepernick. I got to see everybody that my heart will let me see.
Right.
I want the time to come when you're not a handsome black man. You're not a beautiful black woman. You're a handsome man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's pretty girl. You know? So I don't know if I'll ever make it. But you know what, man?
You're starting it.
It's been messed up for 400 years.
Right.
And I just honestly believe that I have made a dent in this. And I'm going to continue to dent this to the point where I can't go no more, man, because me and my wife was talking about this last night. She's like, hey, man, I've got 16 softball tournaments on my books this year. I'll probably play in 2 of them. And she said, do you really think that you're going to make a change? And she's seeing me go in and out of town, blah, blah, blah. You think about this, man. We've never had anything shut the entire world up. I've done webinars in France, Italy, Bangladesh, Istanbul. I can't even say the words.
Right.
And people's eyes, ears, hearts, and souls were open because think about this. I sit sometimes and I get lost in my thoughts. I'm George Floyd's uncle. You're talking to George Perry Floyd's uncle.
Yes, I am.
What's the chances of me being George Floyd's uncle? 6 billion to 1.
Mm-hmm.
What's the chances of the only person in our family and a hell of a lot of other people's families are out here stressing equality and justice? Imagine that. I don't have a job. This is my job. I wake up every day.
Every day.
And think about how I'm going to make a change. Now, let's get back to that Confederate flag. Once we had an issue, I called the damn mayor from my phone from the car. I was like, yo, man, do we really have a Confederate flag? Yeah, man. But it's only racist people that want to be racist for them. They had because they thought that the black guy was going to bring some busload, or they thought the black people are bringing the busload. They're going to wreck town.
Right.
A white guy stands in a council meeting and says, why would we change anything? Because a dead nigga's uncle lives in our town. Yes, sir, buddy. But these are people that I've been seeing for 18 years.
Wow.
Why would I change anything because the dead nigga's uncle lives in my town? He was on drugs. I had a dude that owns a big restaurant in the next town that put a thing online that says, hey, George Floyd has been sober for 244 days.
Wow.
Because he's dead.
Because he's dead.
Then I had one about me. This moron cares more about a piece of cloth than selling dope to kids. I sat and I watch these people every day ride by. And big fella, I ain't mad at people no more.
No.
I ain't mad at people no more.
It's a waste of energy.
I'm mad at the system because the system was designed for us not to fail. Right. The system was designed for us to be humiliated, ashamed, embarrassed,
Beat down, and then come in front of the court asking for sympathy, asking for you not to sentence me to life. Right. It's really, the system was created to keep us in a place of needing it, right? And as long as we needed it and we continue to need it, then it'll continue to do its job. So we have to break that. So when you asked me where I was January 6th, the reason why I didn't know is because I didn't watch that. I don't care about you being mad over that has nothing to do with me. My people are suffering here.
Is that the stupidest thing you've ever seen? White folks saying that we are going to infiltrate the Capitol building for a redneck.
Right.
So he can stay president. Who in the hell loses an election and don't want to go?
Nobody. Never. Has that ever happened before? And then he beat it. So why should I give my energy to them? I'm gonna let them do their thing. We have to figure out how we fix our areas, how we build unity amongst each other. You said earlier, communication, conversation, and what else?
Irritation and education.
And education. These are the things that we need to galvanize and grow inside of our community.
I beat that all the time because without education, we're lost.
Right, absolutely.
The difference between communication and conversation. We're conversating now.
Right.
You know, a lot of people are conversating for the first time in a long time, my man.
Absolutely.
So, life is going to change for the better.
Yes. So the hearing starts on Monday?
Yep.
All right. So they've already selected the jury, correct?
No.
So this is all starting. Everything is starting on Monday.
Everything's starting on Monday.
All right. Where are you going to be while this hearing is taking place? You going down to Minnesota or you just around?
I'm going to Minnesota.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to Minnesota and I'm going to walk around and look crazy. And I'll get pissed to the point where I'll see all those other people going in there that ain't did a damn thing for the cause. And I'm still going to stay because this ain't about Selwyn. This ain't about Petey. This ain't about Rico. This is about George Perry Floyd Jr. My man, I got to get out of here. I sure appreciate y'all giving me an opportunity.
No, I appreciate you sitting down and talk to me. Listen, I really do. Man,